What movie is not for everyone? Most Oscar nominees. Hardly are there movies that were talked about by people aside from the critics. The Dark Knight and, to some extent, Joker, are exceptions, although there's probably more. While there are people who are intrigued by dramatic performances, many people find these kinds of movies boring, with ticket sales favoring more family-friendly, action-packed pictures. Coriolanus. Ralph Fiennes directs this Shakespeare adaptation using a modern arena with Shakespearean verse. I can totally get how many, if not most, people would be completely turned off by it, but it's one of my favorite films. Gerard Butler, Vanessa Redgrave, Brian Cox. I think it's brilliant. I Saw the Devil. It's a brilliant South Korean film that is my favorite foreign film of all time and in my top 10 movies of all time. But I know a lot of people who do not like to watch films with subtitles, and it is also 2.5 hours long. The subject matter is also pretty dark and heavy, but damn is it an awesome film. The Fountain. Personally, it's one of my all-time favorite movies. But I totally get that it isn't something many people would like. It takes a couple of viewings to really understand it, since it's not a straightforward story. Regardless if you get it or not, it is an absolute visual feast for the eyes. I saw The Passion of the Christ in the theater. People brought their elementary school age kids to see the movie. If ever there was a movie not for children, that was it. There were periods during that movie that I closed my eyes and covered my ears because I couldn't handle how violent it was. Downton Abbey: A New Era. It doesn't stand alone if you're not a fan of the TV series, and throughout it, I kept trying to imagine what someone who hadn't seen the series would make of it. Like, these are some weird people, and weird things are happening to them very fast. The Lighthouse. 2520 Lighthouse, Inside, Cosmopolis. Pattinson. Defoe, and Pattinson. E.T. the Killer. I love this movie, but it's certainly not for everyone. Ken Park. My friends and I watched a lot of WTF movies as teens. This is one of those. We still joke about it. Crapnik. It has no rating, but it's definitely our higher. Napoleon Dynamite. One of my faves, but I feel like a lot of people, especially nowadays because everyone has the attention span on a goldfish, would think it's really slow. And to be honest, it kind of is, but nonetheless a great movie. Kids, The Last Days, Gummo, Enter the Void, Bully, Another Day in Paradise. Mostly anything any of those directors have ever been a part of. Haha. I spent a lot of my teens smoking weed and watching all of the crazy movies they made. A good few of Johnny Depp's 90s films were scoffed by critics, but I really liked most of the ones that didn't do too well. Arizona Dream, one of my favorite films. Don Juan DeMarco. Benny June. Dead Man. Nick of Time. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. One of my journalism professors tried showing me that in college, and it was not for me, and we didn't even finish it because it made like the people in the class uncomfortable. Bad Taste. Watched it with a group of friends. One girl puked for real, some others were grossed out, but my mate and I laughed all the way through it. Enjoy. Beau is Afraid. Some people say it's one of the best of the year. Some, including myself, think it's one of the worst. And both of these types are wondering what's up with Ari Aster's penis obsession. There are some Jim Jarmusch movies that run at a pace that a lot of people wouldn't be able to tolerate. I really like his movies, but a couple were tough to sit through. Bevies are so slow. Burn After Reading. One of my fave movies ever. Also one of my BF's favorites and something we bonded over. Watched it with my mom once and she was like, "So this is the kind of movie you like." Tears of the Sun. I believe it received great reviews, but I had to leave the cinema fairly early on because the portrayal of the aftermath of violence in one village was too much for me. Anything by David Lynch. I love him so much, but his style makes people with no patience want to tear out their own hair. Source: my husband and all of my friends. Everything Everywhere All at Once. Me along with all my peers loved it. Watched it recently with my parents and it did not go over well, to say the least. Haha. 2001: A Space Odyssey. I love the film, I think it's brilliantly made. The reason I think it's not for everyone cause it's hard to understand on first watch. There Will Be Blood is my favorite movie of all time. Most people who see it love it, quote it, and enjoy it. But I'll never suggest this movie to anybody. Skinamarink, Ennis Men, and The Eternal Daughter. I saw them all as screeners within days of each other and felt like I was living in a weird dream. Lol. Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy. I love slow-paced intrigue and spy stuff, but I took my so at the time to see it and he slept through the whole film. Lol. The Hunchback of Notre Dame. I personally think it's a great film, but I know that a lot of Disney fans could be easily put off by its darker tone. I Spit on Your Grave, As a personally who experienced the type of assault she endured in the movie, I can definitely confirm it isn't for everyone. Terrifier. Had my eyes closed on half of the killing scenes, and it still gives me the ugh hog. I can explain it. It just feels like that. Granny's Gone Wild 3. It's much better than 2 but gives you GGRGW vibes. One of the few movies that a sequel is better than the original. I feel like Zootopia definitely counts. It's a great movie in my eyes, but holy shit can I understand why someone would hate it. Inland Empire Journey Through What Is That Fuckery? Hell of a film, enjoyed it a lot, but I wouldn't recommend it to almost anyone. Not a movie but Breaking Bad. The first few episodes throw you straight into the action with some of the most fucked up scenes. Kotoko 2011 is the most horrifying movie I've watched I think, or at least the most accurate depiction of mental illness. Saturday Night Fever. Cute movie until the actual rape scene that culminates with the victim apologizing for being raped. Pink Flamingos, and most everything John Waters has done except for Hairspray and maybe Pecker, those are for everyone. In Bruges. I loved it. Made the mistake of letting my mother-in-law borrow the DVD. I was more careful in the future. Smiley face. Midsummer. The plot itself is freaky yes, but it's also the way the movie itself is filmed. Messes with your mental. This is the end. I cried laughing at it multiple times, but I find a ton of people who said it wasn't that funny at all. Pulp Fiction. I showed it to a couple people who, at the end, asked me what it was about. YKYK. That is all. The Lobster. I went with a group of friends and they all loved it, but I despised it. Not for me, apparently. All for the MCU. If you don't give a shit about comics, you're probably not going to enjoy a movie about them. Eden Lake and Wolf Creek. From my most recent viewings. Definitely not for everyone, or most people. Speaking for myself. Any horror movie. I just can't watch it, especially stuff with loads of gore. Every movie is not for everyone. There's no such thing as a movie that everyone will appreciate. Mother. Really any Darren Aronofsky is not going to be an easy watch. Worth it, but upsetting. All of them. I don't care how good or loved a movie is, there are people who will not enjoy it. Dogma isn't for everyone. Especially all of the Mormons who walked out of the theater early. If you are really depressed, don't try to watch I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Just saying. Idiocracy. It was great when it was a comedy movie. It was sad when it became a documentary. Kids. Such a fucked movie lol. It was great though. It would start an uprising nowadays lol. Any Wes Anderson film Ig? I know my parents don't like his style because it's weird. Space Odyssey. My son loved it. I appreciated the aesthetic, but found it so boring. Requiem for a Dream is a tough watch, don't let happy or depressed people watch it. Napoleon Dynamite. I thought it was hilarious but a lot of people can't stand it. A Clockwork Orange. I never want to see it again. I don't care if it's a classic. Literally every film ever made. There's always someone who it doesn't work for. A pigeon sat on a branch reflecting on existence. Zoolander. Army of Darkness. Tim and Eric's $1 billion movie is for like 3 people and I'm one of them. Primer. It's not always easy to understand all the time travel shenanigans. Altered States. It's a very mindfucky movie, very esoteric and existential. The Wrong Turn series. I still think about what happened in Wrong Turn 3. The Counselor by Ridley Scott. Shudders. It's very good but it's harsh. Everything Everywhere All at Once. I don't see everyone in that title. I definitely say I Spit on Your Grave is not a movie for many people. The Jerk. I find it funny as hell. My GF days it makes for brain hurt. Caligula. Our Latin teacher recommended this to us. PLS don't watch it. Any movie by David Lynch, and I say this as a big fan of David Lynch. Hereditary. Especially anyone who had struggled with mental illness. Clockwork Orange or Fight Club. People always hate them or love them. Universal Remote, not to be confused with Click with Adam Sandler. Mother. I think it's brilliant but my friends and peers hate it. Megan is Missing. That movie traumatized me because of the ending. Yoga Hosers. I love it, but most people don't share my feelings. Smiley face. Everything Everywhere All at Once. I loved it but my fam hated it. The Room. Tommy Wiseau is a hero not everyone will understand. Django. All the racist dudes are not going to like the ending. A Japanese film called Audition. Creeped me out a little. Who Killed Captain Alex? He knows the using the gun. Orange Clockwork. Schindler's List. Irreversible. Old Boy. Inception. You need to have your mind out of this world. Smiley face. All of them. No movie is going to be liked by everyone. The Hills Have Eyes. The mutant rape scene was too much, Johnny got his gun. Please don't watch that movie. Funny games. I'm not sure it's for anyone, honestly. Goodnight mommy. Not in English and lots of body horror. That movie ABT, the dude who gets turned into a walrus, human centipede. Oops, that's been taken. So Saw,